Good morning. I'm going to start the videos today with the one that I couldn't get right yesterday because the phone kept closing down. But I've sorted that out. It was a memory problem. So what we're going to make today is a pretty box with a window which holds the pump bottle of M&S almond milk and vanilla hand lotion. Okay, I'm probably not going to use the box I've made because I've only got one of these, and I quite like this box, but we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so as I say, I had loads of problems with this yesterday. Not sure where the camera is as opposed to that, but I'll leave it there in the hope. Okay, so what you need is a piece of heavy duty double-sided paper, and it needs to measure 29.5 by 26 centimeters. With the shorter side on the bottom, you score at 6, 12, 18 and 24, which gives you a nice deep glue and flap, because it is only paper. So we need a bit of weight there. And then turn it by 1/4 and score again at 6, 21.5 and 27.5. Okay, so I will put these down here. I'm hoping that's in shot so that you can zoom in on them if you need them. I'm tucking them under there in the hope they'll stay flat. Okay, so burnish, fold and burnish on all of your lines. Okay, both sides. So this bit here is the top, and this, so the shallow pieces are the top and the glue and flap. Okay, right, so with, I'm trying to see which side you'd probably see it better from. Possibly this side. So with this glue and flap down this side, we are going to cut in at an angle on the main side glue and flap, and we're going to cut this little one off completely. Okay, we're going to do the same at the top, so we're going to cut in the side glue and flap at a slight angle, and this time we're going to cut the two pieces off, the little piece here and the bigger piece here. Okay, so we've now formed our glue and flap for the side. Then we're going to cut straight up along the bottom. The top is where this extra flap is. We're going to cut straight up the bottom to the first score line. Try and cut through your score lines so that they're invisible when we put the box together, because we're not going to wedge in on these bottom panels. So I've freed up the 4 panels at the bottom. Then we're going to do the same at the top, but again this time we're going to cut through one score line down to the second one. There we go, so they're all free as well. All right, now I'm going to mark the ones that we're going to work with. Okay, so this one remains pretty much as it is because that's going to be the lid and the tab that tucks in. This one we're going to cut across the main panel in half because that's going to be one of the tuck-in tabs. This one we're also going to cut in half, but it's going to actually form a bit of a reinforcement for the front of the box here. And then this last one we're going to cut in half again. So we're going to get rid of that and the little one, that and the little one, that and the little one. Okay, as I say, we're not going to touch this lid one yet. So cut away, cut across all of these panels and cut them in half. or thereabouts. There we go. Right, and on all of them we're going to do a little wedge, just so they tuck in nicely. But really do a teeny wedge. I don't know if you can even see that. A teeny wedge, because these flaps hold in the lid. So you really do only want a teeny wedge on the first and the last. And this central one, it doesn't really matter because it's just a reinforcement for the thumb hole. But just do a nice little wedge. Okay, and before I forget, because I did on some of the videos I did yesterday, we're going to glue this down to the inside. We can do it once we fold it, but it's much easier to do it now. So some Anita's tacky glue on the back, fold it over and burnish it down. Wipe away any excess. Right, and while we're working on that one, we are going to use a 2.5 centimetre circular punch to create the thumb hole. Sorry, my hands are a bit cold today, so I've got my little hand warmers on, so I hope they're not distracting you. So I usually go about a third, between a quarter and a third of the way down. So get it in the centre of that panel. There we go. Doesn't like punching through glue, and this paper is quite hefty anyway. So we have now created our thumb hole. Okay, right, so this is your gluing pan. As I say, I've given you a nice deep one because this weighs quite a bit and it is only double-sided paper. So what we're going to do now is, oh sorry, no, jumping ahead of myself. Right, you need a piece of card measuring 6.5 by 4.5. It's just a template, so any scrap of card will do. Unless you want to use it as a tag later, then you'll need a nice piece of card on the back. So what we're going to do is we fold it over as it would be when we start putting it together. So we know that's the lid, so the window is going to go here. Okay, on the bit we put the thumb in, the thumb mark in. Okay, but this window is positioned so that rather than showing the whole of the bottle where there isn't really anything to show, I've positioned the window so that it shows this area here. Okay, so what we're going to do is lie the bottle down next to the base crease so that we've got some idea whereabouts we want the window. So about there would do me quite nicely. I'll move that so you can see. So that now what we want to do is get that in the center between these two score lines. Okay, and I'm working on the front of the box, the face of the box, as opposed to from behind, so that the cut lines look neater. Okay, I'll just quickly do that again so I get it in the right place, straight. Okay, I think that's about in the right place. So as you saw, I put a little bit of glue on the back of my template, and I'm just gonna spread that glue out a bit because I don't want it to move, because we're going to cut this out by hand as opposed to using dies. I'm definitely into old school at the minute. So with a nice sharp craft blade, hold down your template and use it to guide your blade around. You've got, this template is now like millimeters thick because I did so many yesterday on the same project without realizing the camera wasn't rolling all the way through. That this template's like got about 6 or 8 layers to it now. There we go. So as I say, if you put a nice bit of card, you could have put a hole in that and used that as a tag. Okay, so I'll leave that there for you. Then I've cut a piece of acetate and I've left the sticky on so I can find it, and it measures 8 by 5.75 centimeters. Should have centimeters on the end of there for you. I work in centimeters when I'm crafting. I don't even think in inches anymore. It's so long since we went decimal. Okay, so what I'm going to do, sorry, working on the inside of your box, and you'll know you're on the inside because that's where we stuck that flap down. We are going to run, I use 2mm double-sided tape because if I use glue I end up with it all over the acetate, so, but this works perfectly for me. So I just run a border of it all the way around. It's only 2mm thick, so it's easy to hide behind the acetate. Right, I always burnish down my tape. This for two reasons. First of all, it bonds it better to whatever it sticks to, and secondly, it makes it easier to remove the carrier paper, and I just use the back of an old craft knife to do that. There we go. Right, now I will remove the sticky off the acetate, and I'll put that there so you can zoom in on that if you need the measurements again. It's 8 by 575. There we go. So it sits just inside your fold lines. Okay, and I always burnish it down to the tape just so we've got a solid bond. There we go. Right, nearly there now. Right, so we need to put glue on our gluing panel here. Be fairly generous, but don't go totally mad because you'll just have to wait for it to dry. The thing with gluing panels is the most important part is down the folded edge, because that's the bit that you're going to be able to see from the outside. So you need to make sure that is stuck. So I tend to go down that edge first and then just fill in the middle. Right, so now all we do is keep the glue off my fingers so I don't get it on the acetate, and bring one side up to meet the other. I've seen people do this just simply by folding it over, but I can't do that. It doesn't feel right to me. I like to line up my score lines. And then once I've got it semi-stuck, I will go back over it with the bone folder to spread that glue out. So there we go. We've got... No, I'm not. It's just dust. I'm fine. Right, so that's where we are at the moment. We've got the box side sealed, and we've got to work on the base and the lid. So for the moment, I'm just going to flatten that because we're going to work on the base. So you know this is your front because there's the window, this panel here. Okay, so we're going to fold that back. And why we do that is, I'm going to do it to show you, because if you did it the other way, you would see all these raw edges of paper. You don't mind that so much on the back, but you don't want it shown on the front. What you want is a nice creased edge here. Okay, so I've given you 4 full-sized panels so that it's nice and strong for your bottle. So tuck one in. Don't worry about it going inside. We're going to fix it. All we're doing at the moment is getting the glue on. Okay, so I've got lots of glue on there, and I'm going to fold that one in. Lots of glue on there. Fold that one in, and all this glue, of course, is going to give you more strength in the base of the box. And then I'm just going to go around the edge of my final panel, which is going to be the one that you see from the front, just to make sure it's all going to be nicely stuck down on the base. Okay, now I'm going to fold that down and grab a ruler, and I'm going to go inside of the box with the ruler to secure all those panels. Because the added advantage of doing it this way is, if there are any misalignments, which never seem to happen when I want them to, you can, there's a little bit there, I can see a little paper edge there. So all I'm doing is I've got the ruler inside and I'm tapping it against that corner just to bring it out so it's level. Okay, and then I'm going to spread the glue out inside. Okay, so that's where we're up to now. Now I'm going to drop the bottle in and see it goes quite nicely where I wanted it to. Then fold these flaps in. Now we need to trim tiny bit off this flap. So start with literally 1 millimeter, because if you trim too much it won't stay closed. So trim the tiniest piece. Okay, and try it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't go in, trim another little piece. Just millimeters, as I say, as opposed to centimeters. No, still a bit more coming off. I tend to do one side then the other. That way you do end up with an even flap. I think we're almost there now. A bit more. Off both sides now, and I think we're there. Yep, there we go. So it's got a nice, it's not going to open, it's got a nice tight fit. So there you go, there's your pretty little box that caused me so much anguish yesterday when the video wouldn't play. Okie dokie, bye.